Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another question and answer session. This one's a wee bit different. We don't have a specific topic. It's more of a wrap up from the previous sessions and a bit more information generally on the annual plan and just I guess some of the feedback we've had so far. And so, if you've got any questions, please do write them in on the Facebook page, and we will do our best to answer them. This evening, I've got our CEO, Alex Parnley, joining me. Last week, I wasn't able to be here, and kindly Councillor Hopkins sat in and fielded some of the tough questions for us, but so I really appreciate him doing that last week. So Alex, welcome.
Thank you.
And we'll see how this one goes and whether there's too many questions, but we do have a bit of a summary of just what the sessions have already brought us. So if we go back to the first one, that was water, wasn't it? Yes. Trying to remember the order of them now. So that was probably one of the biggest issues that we're consulting on with the annual plan, given the real cost pressures on water, all of the upgrade pressure that we have to meet, and essentially looking at spending over $400 million over the next 10 years, and needing to find good solutions before that so that we don't end up spending that much. So there's a bit of work happening in that space. And I won't summarise everything we talked about at that time, but certainly it was well watched video, both at the time and certainly afterwards. And since that time we've had several other sessions, one on roading, one on general affordability, one on levels of service, and now this one. Along the way, we've also had a number of community meetings from right around the district, and those haven't had huge turnouts, but they've had a good numbers of interested people who are just wanting to find out more about the annual plan, and hopefully, a good number of those will make submissions. Certainly, some have, and we're just keen to make sure that we do get as many submissions in as possible. So that's probably the introduction.
And it's probably worth reminding people, so submissions close this Tuesday, the 30th of April. So we really do want to get those submissions in. 41 submissions so far, but we know more people have downloaded the consultation booklet and also downloaded the draft annual plan. And it's worth emphasising, as a council, and most councils are facing this, we've got some tough decisions to make in the context of the increasing costs that we face and the increasing demands on us. So your responses are really important to informing the council decisions that lie ahead in our annual plan, and that set the budget and what we're going to deliver for the coming year. Probably one of the big issues that came up last time was around transformation and our plans for transforming the organisation. And it was actually the last council that committed to transformation back in September 2022. And it's probably worth saying a bit more about that, given it was a topic for good discussion last time. And obviously that predates a lot of the cost pressures that we've seen as a council. But there were some real drivers for that council deciding that transformation was necessary. So transformation being a big organisational change, a big change in the way we work, the way we deliver as an organisation for you, our community. And some of that was around government reform, and government reform continues to impact this council and every council. But a big driver as well was that our community's needs have changed, and the way we and most councils deliver hasn't changed that much over the past couple of decades, and we need to make sure that we change it more rapidly and that we build an organisation that is better adapted to change. All councils will continue to be facing change going forward. So,
one of the ways I've put that at different times is we're an organisation that does a bunch of things, and over time we keep getting these things added on, and so we change our processes a little bit, and a little bit.
Yeah.
And now it's time to do a proper full restructure of those small changes to actually create something that's more efficient.
Absolutely. So we're looking at some key outcomes really. So building an organisation that is, what we call agile, but able to change more quickly than what we have, because we're going to be continuing to see change happen, but also to be able to influence that change as well, to get stuck in there with government and other local councils in shaping that change so we can do the best job possible for our community. A driver then, which has become increasingly important, is living within our means. And that does mean, driving efficiency and making sure that we're providing value for money, and we've got a constant focus on that. And there was a lot of discussion on that last time. So efficiency isn't the only objective of transformation, but it is one of the objectives, and it's increasingly important that we focus on that. But a big objective as well is really delivering the customer experience that we can be proud of and you can be proud of, that serves you well, and so that when you deal with us as an organisation, you feel like you get the service that you want in the manner that you want, timely way, and that it's really focused on your needs and what you're trying to achieve. We want to be a trusted partner as well. So increasingly as a council, to be effective in delivering for you, we need to work with other organisations, and we do that at the moment, but it's going to be more important that we work well with other organisations and be a good partner. And finally, being an employer of choice, making sure that we can retain and attract the skills that we need to deliver well for you, our community. So these are the big objectives really in terms of what we're trying to achieve, and we're doing a lot of work in the background in terms of what that looks like, designing that and making sure that we change well, because changing on this scale is quite a difficult thing to do, and we need to plan it well, and importantly we need to engage our staff and bring them with us, because they're the ones that deliver your services and deliver the projects for the council.
Yeah, I remember back in 2022, does seem a wee while ago now, but a bit over 18 months ago. And when we made the decision, it was based on a number of things. One, we definitely wanted to be an organisation that delivers better to its community, that is nimble and agile, and importantly, that's as efficient as possible. And part of that is about saving money, part of it's about using money better, part of it's about actually delivering more for the money we have. And I think one of the challenges was we were facing quite an investment to do that, and then relying on a good outcome, which wouldn't just deliver a one-off benefit, it would be an ongoing benefit. And so where we're at in that process, though, is we've done a couple of phases. We're into phase 3.
Yes, so a lot of the work we've done at the moment has been around designing changes, but we've also actually started delivering some of those as well. So we recognised that we wanted to engage better and differently with our community. So the community conversations we started last year, we're part of changing that, and also the consultation platform that we've got there, which we're using for this engagement as well. We're part of that. Also, our approach to how we're developing our places. So, the CBD, our townships, is very much about an engagement approach. How do we engage our community, our stakeholders, in helping us get that right? So the changes we need to make in our townships and our CBD. We also, for this draft annual plan, we used a new tool that's come out of transformation as well, called the prioritisation tool. And that's really about helping the council and ourselves see where we can get the most value from the proposed investments that are going to be made. So what delivers the most in terms of efficiency, but also in terms of the outcomes that this council's committed to deliver in the district and for our communities.
One form of efficiencies and so on is looking to partner with our neighbouring councils, and it's obviously a fairly key aspect of what water reform might bring. So using water reform as an example, obviously we're having discussions with neighbours. Do you want to go into that a little bit more, how you see that working best for us?
Well, I can't say what that's going to look like at the moment, but we're having a discussion with councils in Otago, in Canterbury, and in Southland as well, really with a focus on, we've got a big hill to climb, all of us, in terms of what we need to deliver within that water space, and the costs are mind-boggling. And so how do we work together to get the best deal for our communities, so that we can use all of our resources efficiently and make sure that we minimise the cost to every community of what that's going to deliver. We know we have to deliver to the water standards, and there's no one in government talking about lessening those standards. and we have a regulator who's pushing us and every council to deliver on those water standards. But by looking at how we share resources more and share approaches, we think we can do it more efficiently, so it lowers the cost for all communities within the councils that we work with. But exactly who we'll be working with, what that looks like, I think there's a lot more work to do yet, and that will pan out over the next year.
Do you think transformation will make us more ready for that sort of partnership?
Yeah, I think transformation is really helping us in terms of thinking what we need to do to partner better, but also focusing on where we can really drive value and bringing that to the discussion with our fellow councils to make sure that we can get the best deal for our community and for every community in the country that are facing real big increases in costs.
Mm. So, we're certainly looking forward to the ongoing implementation. Some things have already changed, as Alex has said, and people may be noticing some differences, but they may not. Depends on what services they might be using and whether that's been impacted or not. But certainly there will be, over time, there will be quite a change expected about just how people interact with council, how they go through processes and so on, which can be quite complex and convoluted, and certainly currently overly bureaucratic. But it's about trying to make sure that they get through the process. There's certain hurdles that have to be jumped over, but making sure that we give them a handle on the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but to make those changes, one of the biggest things we have to do is work with our staff team to change the way they work and they deliver services. So the point we're at the moment is just preparing to engage them on the next stage in terms of how this will impact them and change the way that they work and the way that we deliver as an organisation. So I appreciate a lot of the changes we've made so far, probably not evident to most people in our community. But the next stage will really have a big impact in moving us forward to being able to deliver our services in a different way, in a better way that works better for our communities and is more efficient.
Thank you. Just moving on to some of the comments and so on that we've already had back on some of the water aspects. One of the suggestions was about charging for water consumption. We have some metered supplies, but most are on demand or restricted supplies around the district. And, metering is certainly one of the options that will bring efficiencies rather than having to build more infrastructure to store more water and treat more water. If we're not using it in the first place, then that reduces the need for some of those sorts of issues. And working with neighbours on water projects at the moment, we do have quite a major spend on things like consultants and so on, because we've got as much as we've got a lot of water projects on the go, and we're doing a lot of upgrades and so on. We can't afford to have some of the specialist skills. We don't necessarily need them 40 hours a week, and so it makes it difficult to have those resources, those people, unless we basically hire them as consultants. So one of the ideas is certainly being able to work with other councils between us. We will need that person or a couple of those people with those particular skills, and that in itself will drive efficiencies and make sure that we get some improvements in that way. So that was just a couple of bits of feedback on those things, but I believe we've got a question or two. Maybe.
Yeah, we've got a couple of questions that have come in. Thank you, Mayor Kircher. One question that's actually going back to the transformation conversation. Just wondering what training will be provided to the public and council contractors in using the new council transformation systems once they are actually online?
So, when we set up new ways to engage with us and when we're delivering services in a different way, part of the role of our customer service team will be about working with our customers to help them understand and use the new systems. What we're looking for is systems that are similar to what a lot of organisations use already in terms of engaging with the organisations. So, for example, when you do your banking or you're engaging with other corporate bodies at the moment, they're pretty easy, intuitive, but we want our customer service team to be able to help all of our customers use our new systems when they're up and running. But also it's important to point out that for those who don't want to or can't use new self-service or online systems, we'll still be here for them, to talk to them, to pick up the phone, or for them to come in and see us.
Yeah, I think probably given the current restraints of some of the processes and so on, there might need less training. If you're not experienced in planning matters, for example, trying to get through a subdivision process without expert help is not easy at all. And the idea is certainly to be able to have more like case management as far as one person that's the contact, and they do the coordination within the organisation. So it's that type of thing, just helping people through the processes. It works well for the member of the public or the public itself, but it also helps our organisation because they are getting all of the information they need at their different departments delivered in one package and in a way that that they can use it straight away. I think these are some of the sort of mutual savings that get made in the processes along the way. And if people can't use technology and so forth, then there'll still be the phone call. People on the end of the phone, still be the people on the counter and so on. People can come in and talk to. Another one, Mandy.
Thanks for that. That was great. One question that's come through is what's happening with medium density housing being built to solve our housing crisis and solve the problem of lack of staff to grow our economy?
Good question. So basically, there's trying to remember now where we're up to. The District Plan Review Subcommittee has been discussing that amongst other things. It was quite a while ago that it discussed that. We're certainly not promoting widespread medium density residential building. There are some areas and situations where it's quite suitable, and other areas where it's not. When we're talking about building heights and so on, people have been concerned that we've been out there with the proposals for potentially up to 12-metre heights. We haven't gone with that. To my recollection, we've left it at the general 8-metre height and 2 floors. So there's a bit more to go, and quite a bit more to go on the District Plan Review yet, and that'll go through that process. Once we get through that drafting process, the District Plan Review Subcommittee will recommend what will become the proposed plan through to Council. If the Council agrees with it, that goes out for is published, and there's a process then of submissions and then cross submissions, which people can make their contribution to in whatever way they want, and that will help through that process and through a whole lot of hearings and so forth. We'll come out the other end with whatever the district plan will be. This government is changing some of the rules as we go, and so particularly around some of the significant natural areas, though, and the other overlays related to that. They aren't doing it soon enough for our liking, because we're sort of stuck in the middle, not wanting to go the full extreme that the previous government was proposing, but equally not knowing how much we can pull back or exactly where do we need to land with it. So a lot of work happening in that space generally of district plan.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say, housing we recognise as a council is a big issue. It's a priority for us. The district plan should provide the space to build more houses, but as a council, we're also working with other parties to see if we can help developments come along to increase that housing supply, because it's an issue for all businesses, including our business, in terms of trying to get people in that we need into the area. And we know this, we hear this from businesses locally as well, that often it's an impediment. So we're working in partnership with many others, including the Housing Task Force, to try and see if we can unblock some of these things so that we can get houses built and get housing that our local people need and our businesses need for their workers.
Yeah, I think just in the general sense, how we're trying to help that situation around housing is certainly make more land available. Looking at minimum lot sizes, they're already the minimum lot sizes in towns and townships relatively small anyway, and not many people are building to that. But that's one of the things that is happening more and more, is people looking at subdividing down to more of those minimum lot sizes. We're looking at areas of expansion of residential zoning, looking at further density within rural residential zoning. And we're also looking at how we protect our valuable soils, highly productive land, as it's referred to in the planning speak. Part of that is making sure that the grade 1 and 2, category 1 and 2, whatever they refer to it, that they are certainly protected. That's certainly the new government's direction that they look to be going in. And for areas like ours, we have the grades right through to whatever they are, 5, I think it is, offhand. But it's certainly looking at being able to still do a bit more on grade 3 and grade 4, which is less productive. The highly productive areas, though, particularly our farming areas, we're looking at larger lot sizes. So it's a disincentive to subdivide too much farmland at this stage. So that's proposed to go from 4 hectare minimum lots to 20 hectare minimum lots. So theoretically, keeping it in a more productive size, but also, it's going to be a bit bigger to carve off. There's some discussions happening just around existing small lots in rural areas and whether they could be subdivided further down if they've already lost their productive ability to be, to produce quite as much food or whatever it might be on those. But that's still yet to be discussed in more detail. So a lot of aspects of it, and a lot of different ways we can help with housing. And it runs from basically from district plan rules right through to building houses ourselves, if we get the suitable government support, and somewhere in between helping others build houses. So hopefully that's helpful.
Thanks for that. We have another question there. How much would it cost to meter our water and have the additional resources required to provide the administration to actually invoice the users for that metering?
We as I said, we do have some metered services, metered supplies. At the moment, they tend to be the more commercial users, ones which use a large amount of water. There are some rural residential lifestyle blocks around Oamaru which aren't on restricted supplies, and they are on metered supplies instead. And there are in the township of Kurau, they are metered supplies, which is some arrangement that went back to, I think, the 1990s when they went in. I don't know that there's been any particular work done on looking at metering all supplies and to all households. And are you looking that up, Alex, to see if you've got?
Well, I know Central Otago have been through a process of water metering. I was going to see if there's some comparable information there, but I haven't got anything handy from that. So I'll just say, there hasn't been any work done on that by Waitaki District Council at the moment. That'll clearly be a big decision for the council, and one we'd want to specifically engage the community on, I suspect, as well, because it'd be a big change in the way we deliver and charge for water.
It is big, and it's quite an investment to do the switch over. I mean, the Tobies are there. I remember a very long time ago when I first got elected, the Tobies was just being installed in front of every property, and people were saying, "Oh, you're bringing in metering." Well, quite a long time later, we haven't brought in metering, but the Tobies are there. They are a mechanism that meters can be plugged into. So the mechanisms are there, but the actual putting the equipment in, I don't even know what the technology is these days, whether it is automatic metering, telemetry, with data being sent to, I do believe it's something like, the data can be collected from by people driving past the meters, but I don't think it requires every meter to be checked. But do you have any idea?
I mean, most of them now, it's just, it's automatically read. You don't have to go around and check it anymore. It's all digital. a bit like your electricity meter. Most of them don't get physically read anymore. So
Interesting. I was going to say, what did you do in the UK? But of course, you didn't do water in the UK.
I had water. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
had water, plenty of it in the UK, and
But you didn't.
most areas were water metered, but councils didn't deliver water there.
So yeah, and that was obviously something that was potentially happening with the water reform. Not quite there now, so we're looking at those other options. Mandy.
I don't have any other questions that have come in right now, but we have had a few ideas come in. If you wanted me to put one of those out there for you to discuss, there's been some great ideas.
Maybe we could choose.
Yeah, well, maybe.
So
you
there's
could.
one on here about an idea that's come in around selling assets that aren't yielding a return for the community, which I think is an important one that is part of the consultation, and we asked the question on that. Earlier last year, the council agreed a property strategy, and the reason why we developed that was because we hold a lot of property, but we weren't confident as a council that it was delivering enough value for our community. And that's not always about getting a rental income from it. That's about making sure that it's delivering some benefit for the community that is proportionate to what it costs us. And so council agreed that, and part of that was looking at a number of properties that we might look to sell in the future. Now, we haven't agreed to sell any, but we are going through that process of looking at all of the properties that might be able to be either repurposed or, if we aren't able to do that, to look to sell them, because I think that's an important way of both lowering our costs. Property maintenance costs a lot of money, but also getting funds in to deliver other things for the community that would deliver more benefit than holding those properties.
And many of those properties we're actually paying rates on ourselves. So we pay rates for it, and we'd much rather it was someone else paying rates on that.
That's right. But as ever with property here in Oamaru, it's never simple, because we seem to have some of the most restrictive property in the country. So we have Acts of Parliament from 1877 that govern our properties and what we can do with them. So it's not as simple as just putting them on the market tomorrow and hoping we find a buyer. With a number of our properties, we've got to do some work in order to be able to sell them. So it's not going to be a tomorrow thing. It's over the next couple of years.
Mandy.
We do have another question that's just come in. What changes are the government mandating with regards to the new waste regulations that our council has to implement?
Yes, more changing reforms. I think first of all, the background is the previous government was mandating things like food scrap collections, and so I'm trying to get some of the highest methane producers out of landfills and make them more productive, and that is one of the aspects. They were looking at standardising recycling, so that all councils would be required to do recycling, and they would be required to take particular types of recyclables, particular types of plastics, etc. There would be some residual waste, but looking at also potentially glass recycling and other materials. So there was quite a prescriptive process going on. The current government has indicated that's going to be changing, but I don't know that they've announced anything much more than that. We're doing our waste minimisation and management plan.
Yeah, so we haven't had any announcements that I'm aware of in terms of changes to policy at this stage. So we have to push on with what we know in terms of the government policy. But I think more importantly, it's an issue for our local community in terms of the amount of waste we generate and how much of that goes to landfill. And we do know that the cost of landfill will continue to increase. The charges will increase each year for that. So that'll be an increasing cost to our community. So I think, asking the question, could we do this better and differently, and what that would cost, is an important thing for us to answer, regardless of what the government says.
Yeah, I think rubbish and recycling is a big cost to our community, and we do provide some services. We support the Waitaki Resource Recovery Park, and also the Hamden organisation, and I think Palmerston as well. We provide transfer stations. There's 4 of them around the district: Hamden, Otamatata, Marama, and Kurau. and there's, various other small initiatives that we have around different communities, depending on what their needs are. It's certainly an investment to do that, but what the community pays overall, not counting that rate funded services, is the cost to them for private wheelie bin collections of rubbish in particular, which are very expensive, and recyclables, which obviously they pay for. And some people do it well and do it right, and it becomes quite a cheap activity for them, and they're quite happy with the way they're doing things, and their costs maybe under $200 a year. Others maybe throwing out a whole wheelie bin of rubbish, not doing any recycling, and that's costing them a fortune if they're doing that every week or every fortnight. How much they spend on waste is considerably more than what a curbside collection run by council would be. So there's ones that would really benefit from it, and there's ones that wouldn't if we were to bring in a collection, and that's the problem, because the people who are doing the right thing would be the ones who wouldn't benefit from it, and vice versa. So anyway, it's a bit of rubbish. Andy, anything else?
We don't have any other questions at this stage. If you wanted to choose any other.
Well, there's an interesting one here, suggestion that we disestablish roles if they could be replaced by AI. And AI is making quite a lot of progress around what can be done with it. I think you and your team have looked at it to a degree.
So I think we're like most organisations, we're looking at it a bit, and we're looking at what other people are doing with it and what other organisations are doing with it as well. I got to say, in terms of use of technology, there are other technologies that are simpler and more known than AI that we are planning through transformation to use better, so that we can automate things and have more efficiency in the system and reduce the amount of handling. So we started talking about some of the self-service that we want to enable for our customers to be able to engage with us and use our services, and that will help us in terms of processing things better, more automatically, using other technology, not having to use AI. But I think AI will have a role in helping us become more efficient. I don't think we're at the stage where we can be replacing roles with AI. I think that would be high risk. It's a bit unknown at the moment. We know some tech organizations are doing that, but a lot of our services are face-to-face type of services that people rely on that interaction with a person. So whether it be the person on the front desk at the swimming pool or the lifeguard, those are things that are hard to replace. People who serve at the library or at the opera house, those are where a majority of our roles are, the numbers of people are. But that doesn't mean we're not looking at it. We will look at it and look at what others are doing with it, and see how we can use that to both help us improve what we do for you, but also gain efficiencies as well.
I've got one that's going to take us back to transformation, I think. Can council involve communities more in looking after their own assets, not meaning each person gets out to mow the burns or cemeteries, but maybe looking after the toilets with guidance from council? Can local water schemes be looked after by locals and managed by council? Can local community groups have roles allocated to them? This work could come off rates rather than be paid for per se. We've got 4 of our water schemes are managed by the community. The Corridor Water Scheme Limited, Water Company Limited, it was set up to run 4 of the water schemes in Corridor, and they've been doing that more cost effectively, be fair to say. Having said that, there are some major challenges coming up with all 4 of those being on our list of 7 or 8 schemes that still need to have upgrades. But we continue working with them, and there's been a good partnership overall. Probably some tensions at times as we try and meet standards and so forth, and they're trying to keep it as cost effective as possible. But overall, that's one example. But probably another quick example would be in Duntroon. We have the public toilet there is looked after with a contract with the Duntroon and Districts Development Association, so their ratepayers group essentially, very proactive group. And they have one of their locals there that volunteers, does the daily cleaning. Very good job. Usually a wee bouquet of flowers on the toilet when you go in there. And you know, they basically the DDDA, as they're called, gets the funding for that. And so it's a major fundraiser for them with that money. Where I mentioned transformation is because we're looking at how we combine some roles. You've got a person who drives around, looks at roads, another person who drives around and looks at parks and things, you know, checking on contractors and that sort of thing. But is there, you know, when we're talking about locals being able to do some of this type of work, that type of joining together of services, it may create opportunities.
It may create opportunities, but I think that I mentioned one of our objectives was to become a better partner, and that means partnering with our community more. So I think, you know, as we move forward, there will be more opportunities. We're doing some good things already, and yeah, there's more I could add to the examples you gave. And I mentioned earlier some of the work around our townships, and you know, as one example, you know, the Otamatata community group is a great local community group who we've worked with and we've supported, but they've done the work, they've done the hard yards in terms of improvements to their township and looking after their township as well. And I see that sort of thing is more of where we want to go going forward. And that's not about expecting the communities to do things that we should be doing. It's about partnering with the community and the community doing things that they want to do, but also us still fulfilling our role in looking after their part of the district. So I definitely think there'll be more opportunities. We've got some good examples of it working already, but we need to develop more of that. And I think the way we're heading, we will have the more capacity to enable that to happen at a local level.
Yeah, it just reminds me, yeah, another one more recently was the Hampton Community Energy Group that came to us and said, we want to build this community hub. You've got a bit of land there. It's being used for grazing sheep. We think we could use it better. But you know, where they're at now is they're building that shed on that bit of land. They pay, well, I don't think they pay anything, but if they have to pay, they pay $1 a year or something. And you know, it's been a great partnership. We've given them some other assistance along the way, but they've gotten on and done it. And they've done the major fundraising, and they're building this shed, which is going to be a real community hub for them. It's going to be a workshop. It's going to be a bit of an additional classroom for the school, which is just over the road. So really positive things, and it's all part of council enabling community, and it does work best when you've got some really passionate, enthusiastic people in the community with a vision that's achievable. And yeah, even if it's a bit far-fetched, I think we give them a bit of help, they just may achieve it anyway. Do you have anything else yet? No? Okay. We'll find something else. You got another, you got a bit of highlighter on your page there, Alex?
Well, I think we covered one of them, which was about the engagement of the community more in what we're doing and partnering with them, which yeah, we've covered off, I think, fully now. There was one person on here asking a bit more information in terms of what are we actually responsible for as a council, and what do we do? And I think a lot of people see some of the big stuff that we do around roading and waters. But yeah, we have been working to improve our communications to highlight some of those other things we do, and we want to do more of this in terms of explaining better what we do, where your rate money goes, and what it's delivering. Because we deliver a huge amount of things. We've touched on parks and playgrounds and gardens, but and cemeteries as well. But we have many other services that we provide around the harbour, the airport. But also, we have a regulatory function, and that's sometimes some of the more challenging services that we provide as well, in terms of enforcing and upholding rules and laws that are passed down to us by Parliament. But it's a huge range of activity that people's rates pay for. Some of those services you engage with every day, but some of them are only occasional uses of those services, and we want to make sure that we communicate better in terms of where your rate money is going, what that's paying for, and what the result of that is for you. Yeah,
certainly the big ticket items of roading and water. There's massive amount of money is spent on those things.
Mhm.
But there's, you know, some of the small things which make a real difference, and, you know, some of our placemaking, as it's called. So, you know, just providing, you know, cool playgrounds, or providing events and so forth. You know, over this last weekend, we had an outdoor movie. Our events person has put on things like the New Year's Eve event, Friendly Bay Family Day. Opportunities like that to, you know, just get people out and about enjoying the place, and just adding a bit of value. And, you know, for what's a relatively small amount, particularly when it's leveraged off to get extra fundraising, is it actually delivers a lot of quality of life stuff. So as much as it's really important to have, you know, good quality water, and, you know, a sewage system that works when you flush the toilet and everything goes where it's supposed to, and looks after the environment. These other things are important as well, and there's a very long list of services and facilities and so forth that we provide for rates money. It's always challenging putting up rates, but there's a heck of a lot there. One of the other comments we have had back was, you know, the person felt that we spent far too much time just, you know, covering off all the reasons why rates are going up, large amounts, blaming central government and things like that. And to be very honest with you, know, we don't make any apology for that. We felt this is a very extraordinary year. It's not just this council. Our increases are actually just a bit under average. There's many councils with higher increases, but it's a whole combination of things. And one of the things we set out to do as part of this process was really to explain as best we could about all of these external factors that are causing these costs. We're doing our bit with transformation and with other initiatives to try and get better value for money, but there's some things we can't, we can't affect. So we are looking at how do we get money from other sources. You know, what are the things? You know, we've gone through a whole prioritization. We've done a whole lot of culling of projects and bits and pieces, putting some things off, just not doing some of the other things. But we're trying to strike the balance between delivering what community wants and needs versus keeping things affordable as much as possible. Yeah, well, we are lobbying central government as well on some of these other things too, and you know, the current government is actually talking about distributing some of the tax funds to councils, and you possibly know more of the detail on what that might look like.
Well, I'd say we're still awaiting the detail on that, but yeah, we're not blaming others. But one of the challenges we have had, and all councils have had, is that we get things passed on to us by government. They require us to do things, whether it be upgrading water schemes or enforcing new laws, but they don't give us any funding for that. That all falls to the ratepayer. And so what local government as a whole is doing, and this council included, is saying to government, well, you know, that's fine if you go and make laws about that, but it's not fair that the ratepayer picks up the cost for that. So give us some fair share of funding to cover the, you know, some of the costs of what you're requiring us to do, at a local level. So we need to see the details of that. But I think it's been said before that, the current funding system is broken, and we can't emphasize that enough. The rate system isn't fit for purpose in terms of doing everything that's expected of local councils, either by government or by their communities. And that's not blaming anyone. That means that, we need to change, and part of that is changing the way things are funded. But part of it as well is changing how we work as an organisation, so that we can make sure that we get the most value from every dollar that we take from our community. And that's part of what we're doing with transformation, but it's also working with others to make sure that we can get a better deal for local communities.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember the figures. There was a study done recently by local government New Zealand, and it showed that the average rates paid by a household was, I think it was it $2,900. I think the average tax paid by a household is $37,000, and none of us like paying a whole lot of tax or a whole lot of rates, but that's I guess the disparity between just how much central government takes and spends versus what local government takes and spends. Part of it is absolutely devolving some of that spending to a local level. There's some things we do for central government that actually ratepayers should expect that some money comes from central government to do those things. Equally, there's other things that councils could do better than what central government does, and devolving some of the funding for that to a local level could be very beneficial in creating the outcomes that actually both we and central government are looking for. So it's looking at some of those opportunities and saying, coming up with deals, and something that's being done overseas with city deals and regional deals, and that's something that is being discussed in New Zealand. And one of the other aspects is looking at a share of GST on new buildings to actually go back to the local council area to help with the challenges that come with that growth of development. So there's the conversation's happening. That's positive, and hopefully we get somewhere in the next couple of years to actually make it come to fruition.
We have one new question that's come through. What is the council rebranding mentioned in the proposed project list, and why is that necessary?
So that was, I think it was $35,000 or something. No, more than that. 50, right? 50,000.
15,000.
Okay, right. Sorry, I'm trying to lip read over there. It was so 15.
It was 15, and I think most of that was actually staff internal costs. So there's an estimated cost of that. In terms of having a brand that was maybe a bit more modern, reflected the transformed organisation. That was the thinking about that. So we haven't pressed go on that, but that's part of looking at overall our communications and how we engage with people, and whether our brand needs to change, but that's still to be looked at as part of that. I think we've got other things that are probably higher priority that we're looking at the moment than rebranding the organisation.
Well, 15 sounds almost like a bargain compared to 50. Is that discount night only? No, I wasn't aware, sure of what the detail was on that. So good thing you're here.
Thanks.
Any other questions yet? No. Okay. Some of the roading session, some of the feedback has been, well, some of the key messages was really that costs are increasing with roading. Typically over the last 3 years, roading's gone up some 27%. Bridges have gone up 38%. And that's not just when we replace a bridge, it's actually what we need to put away for when bridges need to be replaced. And we do have quite a few bridges around the district. So those sorts of things are impact us a lot. At the moment, we won't know how much funding we're going to get from Waka Kotahi, NZTA. And we won't know that until after this annual plan has been adopted. So we're kind of guessing a bit about what the how much they will give us. So I think we're confirmed with the percentage. Generally on most roading, we provide 43%. They provide 57%. But we don't know what their limit is for the total amount that they will give, and that's going to be pretty constraining if that total is much lower than what it has been. Don't know if you've heard anything more from them.
No, we'll wait to see what they've got for us.
And on our session on levels of service, there's no real themes coming through from that, but we're certainly looking at things, some levels of service that we have to increase. That's the water upgrades and so on. It's not delivering the same old thing anymore. It's actually increasing the level of service. But also, asking the question, are there things that you don't think we should be doing anymore? Or are there other things that we should be doing? So looking at those and asking some questions on that, asking questions on the roading. Do you want to keep the level of service at the same level it is currently, whereas costs will go up? do you want it to keep the costs the same and then the level will go backwards? So looking at the options around that. I think most of us would say we want the level of service on our roads to actually increase and fix more of the roads, but that's definitely going to cost quite a bit more than what we're paying at the moment, and particularly if the NZTA money runs out before we get everything done that we want to. What else? Yeah, that's probably some of the key themes that I've been able to pick out. Anything?
No,
else that you
I
want
think
to
we've
talk about?
covered off most of what's fed back already, and a lot of key issues in there for the council to consider, but we need more feedback coming in
Yes.
to help with those important decisions that lie ahead. So just a reminder that next Tuesday, the 30th, is a deadline for getting feedback in. It really is important. The councillors and the officer team do give a lot of time and consideration to that feedback and what does it mean, so that we can ensure that we can reflect the community's wishes within the decisions taken about the annual plan and the budget.
Mm. Yeah, we're certainly looking for any suggestions, and it's not usually about getting a majority of decisions one way or the other. It's about what's good ideas, and we do read all of the feedback, all the submissions. It's going to be easy reading if there's only 41. Likely to make a bit of a challenge for us, and hopefully get those numbers well into the 3 figures, but we'll see how things go. It is a challenging year. It is like none other. When people say how are things going, just talk to them about just how complex local government has gotten over the last 5 years in particular. It certainly hasn't been easy. It's never been easy, but it's certainly not getting any easier. So that's the challenges we're facing, but we're up for it, and we're looking to do what we can to make things as good as possible for the people of Waitaki. What else was I going to say on submissions? So submission forms, if you want a hard copy, I think they are available at the council building, at our libraries, generally available there. There is a summary of the consultation document. If you want more information, if you can go online, you can make your submission online if you want to. You can download a lot more information and do a lot more reading if you're up for that. The more informed the submissions are, the better it is for us. When people start coming through with really constructive ideas, or just good reasons why we should stop doing something, for example, that's always helpful too.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's nothing else, so we'll wrap it up. I think it might be the first one we've actually kept under an hour. So anyway, thanks very much everyone for joining, and whether you're watching this live or watching it later on as a recording, thank you. We'll see how the submissions go, and please take care out there, and we'll let you know what the annual plan looks like once we get through all that submission process. Thank you.